Big tree top type question coming in from Mark. Basically, if I can summarize here through all of this, Ryan Day's got this season coming up. Do we think he's going to last outside of what he's done in the playoffs? I don't know if that's good or bad. I think his playoff resume could be interpreted both ways.
You can't say outside of the playoffs he's been, whatever. Like, you can't ignore the pinnacle of the sport and say, now judge him. You can't.
Yeah, he's been in the playoffs 3 of his 4 years as a head coach. I think they'll keep him. And not only that, the paradigm is about to shift. And I saw there was a question in there: is this the last year for the 14 playoff? I think this is the last year of the 14 playoff. They're going to go to the expanded playoff in the 2024 season. And based on everything we've seen from final rankings from Urban Meyer's first year in 2012 up through last year, they would have been in the top 12 at the end of the regular season every year. So, 9 out of 10 years going forward, if they're able to continue recruiting at the same level and don't have a scandal that, runs them out of playoff eligibility for a year or two or something, then they're going to be in the playoffs. And is he going to be judged going forward on how they do in the playoffs, or will what happens in the regular season with the Big Ten and Michigan continue to be such a big deal? I think in the future, I made a point on this in one of my chats, Alabama is going to win a national championship one of these upcoming seasons in a year where they lose to Auburn. It's going to happen. Ohio State could win a national championship in one of these upcoming seasons in a year where it loses to Michigan. It could happen. So how does that change how the head coach is viewed if Big Ten and regular season and wins over Michigan aren't the ultimate, where if you get hot in December and January and somehow eke out a national championship and earn the lifetime contract, I mean, how are you going to assess somebody at that point? I don't know. So I don't know how you want to come at it. I don't know how you get rid of a guy who's made the playoffs in a 4-team format 3 of his 4 years, but I'm sure you people will come up with something.
It's going to be a different world. You can go 12-0 and lose in the playoffs and be considered a bit of a failure by some, especially at a place like Ohio State, or you can go 10-2 and lose to Michigan and rebound and win a national championship, and all's forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, if Ohio State makes the field goal in the Peach Bowl and beats UGA and then goes on to play the same TCU team we saw, and transitive property doesn't work, you can't say that Ohio State is going to beat TCU by 40, 50 points. But I mean, we're like a play away from Ohio State going to the White House and all of that stuff. And this team was left for dead, and they came back and did all this, but it didn't go the right way. And people want to sit there and say that Ryan Day needs to go and everything else. And everybody has an opinion, and that's all well and good. But I can't agree with the opinion of people trying to sit there and see the exit strategy of what it's going to look like after getting rid of Ryan Day after this year. I mean, if Ohio State has the bottom drop out this year and ends up losing an unthinkable amount of games, which truthfully is about 2, what are people going to be saying then when we're doing this show 10 months from now, and if things don't get off to a good start and they stumble somehow against Notre Dame and what then, at that point, then I'll start entertaining more of the thoughts about, well, maybe Ryan Day isn't necessarily getting it done. But until then, I'm not buying it.
If you ask the average college football fan, has Ryan Day been successful in the college football playoffs, they would tell you no. When I look at it more from a performance standpoint and not just the results. And we know what happened in 2019 against Clemson, and we know the absurd calls in that game. We also know that they made a national championship game despite a lot of issues with COVID and injuries and blew Clemson off the field before they were blown off the field by Alabama. And then we know what happened against Georgia, who was by far and away the best team in the sport, that it came down to one play and one kick at the end. So that's pretty good performance by and large through 4 games.
Yeah, and the super chat here about Ryan Day losing to Michigan for a third year, and I'll let Steve answer this, but as I keep telling people, it depends on what else happens. Like if they're 11-1 in the regular season with the loss to Michigan, I don't care if it's a 4-touchdown loss. He's not going anywhere. That's not a fire. That's not it's not going to happen. Now, I do think in the playoffs with the 12 team, I don't think making the playoffs saves your job anymore once you go to 12 teams. Because for Ohio State, being in the top 12 is not good enough. And so I think there will be some issues moving forward if they don't get anywhere in the playoffs. I don't think simply making the NCAA tournament is no longer a thing that keeps you safe in theory. But go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I agree with Tony. You took the first sentence you said right out of my mouth, which is that their only loss, or is that on the end of a 4-loss season and there's issues throughout the program and turmoil and guys leaving, and stability is what wins, in my opinion. And you only have to look at the quality of the recruiting classes to understand that the talent is there. They've just got to coach up the talent and develop the talent, and put the talent in the right position to win games in the fall. And that's what they've done. I mean, they've done that, time and again with this coach, and with, certainly, most of the previous coaches they've had there with Cooper and Tressel and Meyer, certainly. So to me, it took John Cooper after 98, where they finished second in the country. It took a couple of down years. Actually, he did 99 in 2000 and even into 2001, 3 down years before they got rid of him. And there was a lot of turmoil in the program as well that kind of led to that as well. So with guys having issues off the field and an assault of one player against another and different things, that eventually led Andy Geiger to kind of pull the plug, on John Cooper, but he'd stopped winning. I mean, that was the big thing. I mean, after 98, he lost to Michigan 3 more times, 99 and 2000. He was out after 2000, so 2 more years is what he got. And, because Tressel was 01. So, yeah, they pulled the plug. And, not every time you pull the plug are you going to hit a home run. They hit one with Tressel. They hit one with Meyer. And, to this point so far, I'd say it's been a good ground rule double, or should I say a stand-up triple for Ryan Day so far. I don't know, but I don't want to invoke the third base reference and go down that path. But if he loses to Michigan the 3rd straight time, there'll be a pocket of the fan base that definitely wants a change. There's no doubt about it, depending on what the ramifications are. If it costs them a playoff berth and a spot in the Big Ten championship game, going to be a lot of upset people, no doubt.